What happens when a man who was voted, most like Jesus, in high school tries to hire someone to murder his wife? This is the true story of Brandon Cole, a Christian rock star who traded his soul for steroids, success, and a crime so shocking it would destroy everything he'd built. Before we dive into this wild story, if you're into true crime and unbelievable real-life events, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a story like this. Trust me, you won't believe where this one goes. Now, let's get into it. Brandon Cole had it all figured out. At 32 years old, he was living the dream most people only fantasize about. He was the lead singer of Eternal Awakening, one of the biggest Christian metalcore bands in the country. They sold out venues, their albums went gold, and fans literally worshipped the ground he walked on. But more than the fame, Brandon had something deeper, a reputation. Back in high school, his classmates voted him most like Jesus. That wasn't a joke. That was who he was. The good guy, the faithful husband, the devoted father to 3 beautiful kids. He and his wife Jennifer, everyone called her Jenny, had been married for 8 years, and from the outside they looked like the perfect Christian family. But something shifted in 2010. Brandon looked in the mirror one day and didn't like what he saw. He'd always been thin, almost scrawny. So he made a decision: he was going to get bigger. He started hitting the gym hard, lifting weights like his life depended on it. And at first it was innocent enough. Just a guy trying to get in shape. But then, somewhere along the way, working out wasn't enough anymore. He wanted results faster. He wanted to be huge. So Brandon crossed a line. He started injecting anabolic steroids. And it worked. Oh, it worked like magic. Within months, he packed on 50 pounds of solid muscle. He went from looking like a worship leader to looking like a bodybuilder. His shirts didn't fit anymore. His arms were massive. His chest was thick. People stared. Fans loved it. He felt invincible. But Jenny noticed something else changing too. It wasn't just his body, it was him. Brandon was angry now all the time. He'd snap over nothing. He'd explode at the kids. He spent hours and hours at the gym, obsessed like nothing else mattered. And the money? He was blowing thousands on new tattoos, luxury cars, things they didn't need. Meanwhile, their 3 kids barely saw their dad anymore. Jenny would try to talk to him, but it was like talking to a stranger. The man she married, the gentle, faithful man of God, was disappearing right in front of her eyes. One day, while Brandon was on tour with Eternal Awakening, Jenny received an email that shattered her world. It was from her husband. The subject line was blank. She opened it and the words felt like knives. "I don't love you anymore. I want out." Her hands shook as she kept reading. Then came the part that made no sense at all. "I'm not a Christian anymore." Jenny sat there, stunned. Her husband, the lead singer of a Christian metal band, was telling her he'd lost his faith. The man who was voted most like Jesus in high school. The man who screamed worship lyrics on stage every night. How was that even possible? And how could he keep performing, keep selling records, keep taking money from fans who believed in what he stood for? But here's the ugly truth Jenny soon discovered. Brandon wasn't the only one. The entire band had stopped believing in God years ago, but they kept the Christian label because it sold. It made money. It paid the bills. It was all a lie, and thousands of fans had no idea. And then the avalanche came. Jenny started digging. She found out about the affairs, not just one, but multiple women across the country, groupies, strangers. There was even a girlfriend in Florida he'd been hiding for months. On top of that, Brandon had spiraled into hardcore drugs. Heroin, cocaine, strip clubs, the whole rock and roll destruction package. He wasn't just walking away from his faith. He was diving headfirst into everything he once preached against. Jenny had seen enough. In 2012, she filed for divorce. She was done. But Brandon wasn't just hurt, he was furious. The roid rage, the drugs, the pressure, it all turned into something dark and dangerous. He blamed Jenny for everything. The legal bills, the delays in finalizing the divorce. He became obsessed with the idea that she was trying to take his kids away from him, trying to control when he could see them, trying to ruin his life. And then one terrible thought crept into his mind and wouldn't leave. What if she just disappeared? Brandon didn't know any hitmen. Most people don't, but desperation makes you do stupid things. One day at the gym, he pulled aside one of his workout buddies and asked the unthinkable, "Do you know anyone who'd be willing to kill my wife for money?" The guy looked at him like he was insane and backed off, but word travels fast in a gym. Eventually, the rumor reached a personal trainer we'll call Coach, and the next time Coach saw Brandon, he said, "Hey man, don't ask me to kill your wife." Brandon, cool as ice, replied, "Oh no, of course not. But do you know anyone who would?" Coach was horrified. He didn't want to see anyone get murdered, so he did something smart. He went straight to the sheriff's department and told them everything. The authorities moved quickly. They set up a sting operation. An undercover detective would pose as a hitman named Red, and they'd catch Brandon in the act. A few days later, Brandon met Red in a bookstore parking lot. He had no idea he was walking into a trap. Wearing a wire, the detective listened as Brandon laid out his plan. Brandon handed over an envelope. Inside was $1,000 in cash, photos of Jenny, her home address, her daily routine. He promised $20,000 more once the job was done. But here's the thing, the detective needed Brandon to say specific words. He needed him to say kill or dead to make the case stick, and Brandon kept dancing around it. "I want her gone," he'd say. "She can't come back." The detective pushed. "You want your wife of 8 years gone?" Brandon nodded. Finally, just as they were about to leave, the detective asked one more time, and Brandon, looking him dead in the eye, said it. "Just to clarify, I want her dead." That was it. The second those words left his mouth, police swarmed in and arrested him on the spot. Brandon Cole pleaded guilty. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison. But here's the twist that'll blow your mind. He only served 2 years. In 2016, he was released on parole. And what did he do? He got right back together with his band, Eternal Awakening. They dropped the Christian act, it's just regular metal now, and they still tour and record music to this day. Jenny and the kids, they survived. They moved on, but Brandon's reputation, gone forever. The man who was once most like Jesus became the man who tried to have his wife murdered. And somehow he's still out there playing shows like it never happened. Brandon Cole went from being the face of faith to the face of betrayal. He lost his wife, his kids' trust, his faith, and nearly his freedom, all because he couldn't handle who he'd become. The scariest part, he's still out there making music, playing shows like it never happened. Sometimes the darkest stories don't end in prison. Sometimes they just continue. If this story shocked you as much as it shocked me, drop a comment below. Do you think 2 years was enough? Should he have gotten more time? And if you want more insane true crime stories like this, subscribe and hit that notification bell. I'll see you in the next one.